My analysis of the effects of social behaviors in online video games on team trust. So I'm going to give you a brief definition on what video games are and how this could be connected to team trust. So online video games are digital environments where people can interact, cooperate, and communicate with each other. In some of these games, teamwork is of the essence. The game conducted by researchers by this study was League of Legends, which is a team-based strategy game. So on this slide, I'll be discussing the purpose and hypothesis of this study. So first bullet point, purpose. The researchers' aim was to investigate how and which types of game behaviors relate to trust formation. To provide examples of these behaviors would be the following behaviors: communication, cooperation, and coordination. The study's hypothesis was that in-game behaviors can either positively or negatively impact trust levels amongst teammates, and players who display competency, do not sabotage gameplay, will have a much higher chance of being trusted by their teammates as opposed to people doing otherwise. Major findings of the study. Alright, so the researchers discovered that game player behaviors could either positively or negatively impact trust levels amongst teammates. Positive behaviors had positive effects in regards to trust, and vice versa for negative behaviors. However, it was found that the effect was stronger for negative behaviors compared to positive ones. The small qualitative study produced a taxonomy of in-game behaviors that affect trust. And after conducting the second part of the study, which I will go further into detail later, the authors concluded that expanding the number of behaviors would help enhance and produce better results in future studies. Additionally, based on the ABI model of trust, which stands for ability, benevolence, and integrity, a person who displays competency in the game and does not attempt to sabotage gameplay has a higher chance of being trusted by teammates than someone with a history of committing a sabotaging act. How did the authors test their hypotheses? Now, let's discuss how the authors tested their hypotheses. So this was a two-part study. The first part was a semi-structured set of interviews to create a taxonomy of in-game behaviors. The researchers then grouped these behaviors into the same ABI model of trust. This part of the study involved 6 European participants, 5 aged between 18 to 25 and 1 between 26 to 25. 5 of these people were male and 1 female. The second part of the pilot study, where the researchers collected 7 people to play a League of Legends game and made them answer a questionnaire about trust, their inclination to trust, and how much they are willing to trust teammates. The questionnaire was on a 15-item 5-point scale using ABI, which would measure teammates' perceived trust, in an 8-item 5-point scale questionnaire, which was done to find the inclination of trust. So, slide 4, accuracy. So in this slide, I'm going to discuss whether or not the results are likely to be reliable and accurate. Although the study produced a taxonomy of in-game behaviors that affect trust, there were a few limitations in this research. The method relies heavily on the honor system and trusting behaviors that players/interviewers have shown, which is pretty complex because trusting moral standards are very different in every country. Second, the lack of diversity in the methods used to find willing participants for both parts of the study is also quite unfortunate. The small sample size, 6 participants in the first part of the study and 7 in the second part, could limit the ability to generalize the findings. So, although the results provide some insights which can be considered valuable, I think that further research has to be done to provide insights that are noteworthy, and as well as providing results that are reliable and accurate. The connection to cling. So does this fit into Kling's argument or does it not? And his argument for why the research is in the field of social informatics. So I think it does fit Kling's argument. The study can aid in future research regarding teamwork and trust formation, both in human teams and the ever-growing field of hybrid, also known as human artificial intelligence teams. I think this study aligns with Kling's argument that technology is a social product and that understanding the social aspects of technology is critical to understanding its use and impact. Though, thanks to the unfortunate limitations of the study and the small sample size, for example, and lack of diversity, it could limit its ability to be applied to other contexts, which, in regards to Kling, could be a concern. And another thing is that this study connects to social informatics because it shows how video games can be a platform for social interaction and collaboration. And this is the end of the presentation. Thank you so much for listening in.